kicking for you like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real, G. Talk about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in it. Complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
This is Complex Context, and I am your host, Rob Impact. Welcome back for another episode where we get to converse and continue building our relationship together. I'm having a really good time doing this, and I hope you're having just as good of a time kind of sitting back doing your thing. And maybe you're working during the day, maybe you're commuting. Regardless, very grateful that you're taking the time to be here and to listen to this episode. So how was your week? My week was excellent. I would like to talk a little bit more about that, but before I do, I just want to remind everybody, if you would like to check us out, maybe you're new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to visit our official site, thanks in part to our distribution partner and hosting partner, Podbean. They're awesome people over there. We are at complexcontext.podbean.com. And you can always hit us up on Twitter or X or whatever you'd like to call it this week at complexcontext1. You can also send us an email with any of your thoughts, questions, suggestions for show topics, or maybe even if you would like a guest spot on the show. We could do that. complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. Another week, we're back at it again, and I feel really good to be here with you, and I want your week to feel as good as how I'm hoping my week feels, because last week it was a little bit difficult for me, and I can't speak for you. I'm not too sure what makes up your day today, but it was one of those weeks last week where, holy cow, it just did not seem like it was going to end. And for whatever reason, you had some days where it went by a little bit quicker, but most of the days during my work week, it just dragged on endlessly. I remember one day in particular, I could have swore that I was so busy in multiple departments doing things, and I wasn't consciously looking at my phone or a clock or anything like that. So by the time I got out to a primary area, I was like, I'm going to look at the clock, and I feel like I should be seeing 5 o'clock. And I looked at the clock, and I'm like, man, I was 40 minutes away from that. And it really took the wind out of my sail, and I'm like, oh, man. So hopefully, my fingers are crossed, this week is going to be a lot more efficient. And hopefully it's like that for both you and I. Regardless, we had another successful week. Was very happy about that. Wanted to let you know that I had the opportunity today take a nice walk around the block with my daughter. And we walked our dogs, and we saw this really awesome butterfly. Just kind of hit me a certain way because it wasn't an ordinary butterfly, or I should say it wasn't one that you might see more readily than others. This was like a stereotypical, straight out of a school textbook, black and orange butterfly. It was just so beautiful. I should say white detail too. I can't leave that out. But we were looking at it, and it was just so cool to see. I would love more opportunities to have that kind of nature that's not ever present to just come about every so often and kind of remind us that we're pretty lucky to be here in general, obviously, but to be around the type of nature and the type of animals that we have in our vicinity. It's really, really cool. So that really set my week off to a good start. I don't know if butterflies are in your neighborhood, but maybe there was something cool that you saw. Maybe it was something really cool for conversational purposes. You reached out to a friend or a family member. I would love to know about it, so make sure you reach out, and we would be glad to share that story here on the pod. I want to wish a belated Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms in podcast land. You guys are unbelievable with how much support and love and just general crap that you put up with, whether from children or spouses or anything like that. It's really, really awesome to know that there are some strong women out there who do a fantastic job. And there are some women that try and maybe they struggle a little bit. It's hard to keep that strength. That doesn't mean that you're any less of a mom than someone that might have it a little bit more easily or a little bit more under control. Your efforts and the obstacles that you face are part of the whole story. And I celebrate you as well as I'm sure we all do. So happy belated Mother's Day to you and all of the folks out there in podcast land. I'd like to give a shout out because I was super excited and kind of taken back to our listeners over in France. Yes, we actually have a few people in France listening to the show, so that was super cool. Wasn't expecting that. Much love to you. I hope you are enjoying the program. Shout out to those folks over in France. Also, shout out to everybody here in the U.S. We are growing our listenership, and it really is a blessing. I can't thank you enough for that. As I believe I've mentioned in prior episodes, I live in Massachusetts, and though it's always kind of been known that we have some rather aggressive driving skills, as of late, I don't know what's going on. It has been horrendous, and I feel like I'm sounding like an old guy when I say that, but I'm speaking the truth. I told somebody, a friend of mine, I used to every so often see these videos on YouTube where they were compilation videos. And it would usually be, and this isn't a dig at folks over there, but it would usually be drivers with dash cams over in Russia. I can't speak to why Russia and their overall driving experiences might be very crash-worthy. I'm not going to get into that, but it really made me scratch my head and go, wow, they must have either really lax rules or people that just don't give a damn over there. And I could be wrong on both points. But as of late, I feel like I've been driving in the middle of those compilation videos of people crashing into each other over in Russia. It is just unreal sometimes. I went out this morning, was getting some iced coffee for my wife and I, and you would have thought that people were in a rush to get to the next nowhere. I'm not really sure why that. It stuck out to me this morning, no less than most other mornings where I might have a commute to work, but I think it was because I didn't work today that it just elevated its attention to me. So I'm out on the road, and there's just people that are going right to the edge of the stop sign for intersecting streets or right to the edge of the traffic light. It's like if it's red or if you have to stop, you're not going to go any quicker by just having the desire to slam on your brakes right where you should stop. You're going to stop regardless. So what are you saving? A third of a second? That's unbelievable and really unnecessary. I laugh because I can't understand the mindset of a lot of folks today in their driving habits. I passed an accident yesterday on a major route that crosses a few cities, and it looked terrible. And I could tell that this was the kind of accident that was going to take up not just the whole gentleman's day, but the rest of the weekend. I felt awful. I have no clue as to what happened. I'm not going to spin my own context on it. It was just one of those things where for that stretch of road, I could not figure out with how wide the lanes are and well marked everything is in terms of cautions to be taken and the general approaches to lights. It just was weird. It was very, very weird to see that. So I do wish that gentleman well. I don't know. There's something lately about people driving like a total ass around here. And I'm not fond of it. And I hope it stops soon. Anybody rushing to get to a stop sign or rushing to get to a traffic light, you have to stop regardless if the light is red or if you have a sign that says stop. So why would you go approach that stop at like 25 miles an hour and then slam on the brake rather than ease into it, right? Because what happens if you, I don't know, say your foot slips? You're much more likely to get out in traffic unintentionally than if you were slowing anyways. So you're taking less time to apply your brake. That makes no sense to me, and I don't think it's a win for anybody. You're not going to get anywhere any quicker. You're just putting more of a potential for something unintentional to happen and cause a big accident. We got to get better. And I can't speak to your particular location where you might be listening from, but I know in terms of where I'm at, I need things to get better. And not for my sake, for everybody's sake. It's become the Wild West out there. It really has. People that are looking to, on the highway even, go unbelievably quick. Now, I understand. I don't expect everybody to follow the speed limit per se. But if you know, based off of your own speedometer or, let's say, your driving history, and you kind of built up that education of being able to judge how quick someone is going, I shouldn't see people on the highway going 95 past me in the right lane. Like, what the heck is that about? Where are we going so quick that we have to go 95 miles an hour, legitimately? And if it's a case of running late, that sounds like a you problem. Don't bring everybody else into it because you don't have the wherewithal to get up earlier, get ready earlier, or just be okay with the fact that wherever you get to, you're going to have to call or contact somehow or just get there late. This is not a popular thing to say, generally speaking, because life isn't fair anyways, but it's not. It's not fair. It's not fair for people who really take this privilege for what it is and don't abuse it. Really try and do their best to follow what they learned, their own experiences, building up their overall driving habits. To have other people out there just be so aggressive for no reason, like we're all trying to beat the clock, and I get it. Life is precious. I don't like being out on the road more than I have to be myself. Not because I'm anti-driver, but because I just want to have my time taken up with experiences, both for what I need to do in life and what I want to do in life, and I don't want that necessarily to involve being in a vehicle longer than I have to be. So it really is a means. I can understand people want to get out, people want to get to where they're going, do what they have to do, but my goodness, man, there is a way to do that, and it's not on the backs of safety for others who are trying to accomplish the same thing. It's unbelievable. So let's please be a little bit more self-conscious about how we dig into our driving habits and how much we really need to go that extra 5 miles an hour, or how much we really need to be on the bumper of the person in front of us, versus is it going to make a difference overall? If you're judging pros and cons, and I don't know how many pros there are for somebody really causing mass chaos between multiple lane switches, going 20, 25 miles an hour over a speed limit, just being a general ass about it, I cannot imagine you are saving that much time. So rather than trying to play let's see who flinches first when you're merging two lanes into one, because forming a zipper with cars alternating between lanes to merge, yeah, that's a real hard concept to grasp, right? If you can't just follow simple things like that, your privilege really is being taken for granted, and you're making others pay for it. And I don't respect that you think wherever you have to go is any more important than where I have to go. If it's that important, you will find a way, or there will be other circumstances or other factors that will allow you to get there quicker. But otherwise, I understand things happen, but there is a population that on the regular, they're taking this for granted. And you can't do that. You really need to savor this privilege that we have and respect the others who are trying to respect it. There is a difference between aggressive driving in a good way. Yes, that does exist. I'm not saying get rid of that at all. I encourage you not to, because when you have those random factors that somehow they're like moving obstacles or they're, say, environmental situations that make your drive non-typical, you need to know how to react in those situations. So what I'm saying here doesn't have anything to do with that. What I am saying is do not drive so aggressively because it suits your personal agenda while it's putting everybody else at risk for just getting through to the next place. So let's all work on this together, all right? I think that's more than reasonable to ask. And I would recommend that you spread the word and let people know that you might observe kind of acting a fool. Let them know, like, hey, not to be a jerk about it, but you might want to take your foot a little bit off the pedal or maybe one less brick, whatever does it for you. For example, there is one person that works in the complex of where my workplace is, and I see them coming through the parking lot, whipping into a parking space, and it's a really narrow road. It's not even a road, it's just really like a parking lot passageway. And they'll come through this little strip that's really intended just to get to various parking areas, and they're whipping through like they're going 25, 30 miles an hour. And there are people that walk around the building, and there's also a little bit of wildlife around there. So my thing is, once you're in that type of an area where you know that it's not typical traffic, it's not a formal road, you're already in the vicinity of where you need to be, man, slow down. There's people walking. There's like the door is right there. So you whipping around isn't going to save you more than maybe 4 or 5 seconds at best. Like you really want to put yourself and other people in a situation that's largely avoidable because you got to get between the lines that quickly. Come on, man. Stop acting a fool. Let's be respectful about this privilege that we have. Let's honor it for ourselves and for others, and let's be better about it. That's my hope for the week ahead and maybe even the summer ahead, especially as more people will probably be going out and having their day trips. Last week we debuted a new segment, Flavor to Savor, and I had a really good time doing that. I hope you enjoyed the product that we reviewed last week. And by chance, because I like trying new things, I think it's important, and I would encourage you to do the same. Don't just stick to what you know, because maybe it would be good to know something else that you're missing from your life. And being closed-minded like that, even if it's for a little thing, you wouldn't want to miss a really good experience or something that you might recommend to, say, a friend or a coworker that you know. With that said, let's do another one. Let's do our Flavor to Savor.
Step up to the plate, we're about to debate the flavor to savor. But never second rate, taste buds on fire. We're the critics you admire. Break it down on the podcast, set the world on fire. Savory to sweet, we're digging deep. Food and drink, it's a flavor-filled feast. We'll sip and we'll munch, review with a punch. Complex context, bringing the flavor for lunch.
The Flavor to Savor is where we discuss today's beverage and food options that you may or may not want to savor. And for this week, we are going to discuss, this is kind of an oddball, I didn't know what to expect here, Sprite Chill. Now, for those who don't know, Sprite Chill, according to its parent company, is one of the first sparkling soft drinks to deliver a cooling sensation without an accompanying mint flavor. According to the Senior Director for Product Development of Sparkling Flavors, I can't believe that's an actual title, but it is, because Senior Director Product Development is too cliche. If we put in for sparkling flavors, it's really specific, isn't it? I'm kind of going off the rails here, but I don't care. Obnoxious is obnoxious, either way. They said consumers today are looking for multi-sensorial beverage experiences, so we saw a unique opportunity to elevate the crisp, refreshing taste Sprite fans expect with a first-of-its-kind cooling sensation. All right off the bat here, we're not even talking yet about the categories that we are going to judge this product on, but when you use a word like multi-sensorial, already I feel like you're hiding something. So, you gotta be a little bit careful how you want to put your product out there. Just my opinion. Flavor to Savor takes a product that I'm trying for the first time, and we judge it on 5 categories: smell, initial taste, ease of consumption, eventual taste, and desirability. And we rate each one of those categories 1, which is gross, to 5, which is great. And at the end, we tally everything up and we give an overall rating. So Sprite Chill is a limited edition flavor, at least here in the United States. My apologies if you're not within this country. Maybe it's offered on a global perspective, but I cannot speak to that. It has this cherry lime branding on the label. So even though Sprite Chill, and looking at a lot of the press releases, they seem to omit any mention of cherry lime, which is in plain view on the label. That's a little bit confusing. So when I saw the label, my expectation is okay. So this isn't really just a cooling thing. This is supposed to be a cherry lime variant. To further go off of the press release, which describes this product, the brand director said, "With Sprite Chill, we're doubling down on the signature intrinsics while continuing our legacy of strategic flavor innovation and quenching fans' thirst for variety and the exclusive badge value associated with trying and sharing limited-time only beverages and experiences." I'm going to speak of this not just in a flavor to savor segment manner, but life in general, is when you put out a press release and you're promoting a product, if you do not speak everyday human to me, you've lost me. You just want it to sound as thorough and as over the top as it doesn't need to be. There is no value to that. People will not remember this verbiage. So when you go and make statements like this, I'm already of the expectation that you're hiding something. On these signature intrinsics, who talks like that? We're talking about a form of Sprite. Come on. Talk to me about Sprite. I want to hear about the bubbles. I want to hear the carbonation. I want to hear about, did you do anything different with the nutritional values? What about the legacy of the Sprite branding ties into this new Sprite Chill variant? When you start making statements like exclusive badge value associated with trying and sharing, etc., and combine that with the Senior Director for Product Development for Sparkling Flavors, multi-sensorial beverage experiences, I'm caught in the worst Zoom meeting I didn't ask to be a part of. And I just wanted to try a new variant of Sprite. As a regular everyday schmo who's trying this, you have given me no platform or no foundation to want to say, okay, I can go into it with this real-life, humanistic expectation of what they were going for and what I might get out of it and what they really want to emphasize about it. I just got a bunch of corporate talk here. Going into this review was very disappointing. Now let's get into all of the categories. Number 1, smell. Smell, I gave it a 3, which is a so-so. As soon as I opened up the cap, I said, this is a little familiar. I can't really pinpoint it. It kind of has a little bit of a lemony or lemonade kind of smell and a little bit of that lemon lime Sprite smell that you would expect on the regular. It wasn't terrible, but it really didn't do anything for my wanting to dive into it. So the smell wasn't bad. It was just so-so. Category number 2, initial taste. Initial taste, I have to also give it a 3, a so-so. I went into it very excited because I like the fact that Sprite doesn't have caffeine and doesn't have those dyes to make it a colored beverage. So I was like, all right, this taste should be good, right? At least initially. So I had it. And again, it wasn't bad, but there was some type of familiarity again. There was something there. And I went, I don't know what it is. I guess to begin with, it was a little bit sour again, almost like a lemonade, but not a consistent sour. It was just enough of a spin on it to kind of have a good first hit of the beverage. And after the second sip, I said, okay, that's not too bad. It's a little bit intrusive as far as when it goes down. I kind of lit up my esophagus a little bit. You could tell that it had some kind of heaviness that I wasn't really looking to experience. Unfortunately, a lot of commercial soft drinks have that heaviness that really doesn't need to be there. It only is based off of a lot of the ingredients that are used. And unfortunately, the Sprite Chill maintained that kind of feeling during the taste. Ease of consumption, I'm kind of going into it already by discussing that. Taste was all right, but my mind went to category 3, ease of consumption, because I felt it. And I wasn't looking to. It wasn't awful by any means, but it definitely could have been, especially if it was a cherry lime variant, it could have been a little bit more accommodating for how it felt going down. Let's be honest, I get it. It's a soft drink or a soda or pop or tonic or whatever you want to call it. And though I didn't have this grand expectation, I would hope that at least a variant would give me a little bit different of a feel than your normal brand's primary product. A little bit disappointing. So that was also a 3. Category number 4, eventual taste. Now, this is where I guess the main emphasis of this review is going to come up. And that is, I solved the vague familiarity that I had with the smell and the initial taste. Because as I kept continuing to consume this, I said, this tastes like something. And with every sip, it just got stronger and stronger. It was confusing. It wasn't like bad necessarily, but I was more drawn into what am I tasting rather than just enjoying the taste. And I figured it out. It's Fresca. Sprite Chill is really a bad knockoff of Fresca, who, guess what, the parent company also makes. And I was really disappointed when I figured that out, because once that popped into my head and I had more sips of this, I said, this is just a low-key, slightly less zingy Fresca, which is, if I wanted that, that's what I would have bought. But I didn't. So the eventual taste, though it did answer my curiosity that happened early on, it really was a disappointment in terms of saying to myself, this isn't really its own thing. This isn't something that I go, wow, I wish that this was around all the time, because then I went, well, it kind of is. It's called Fresca. So I gave eventual taste a 2. And I think that's the first 2 I've given on this segment, which is not good. And then finally, category number 5, desirability. What I wanted again, the smell was okay. The initial taste was okay. Felt all right going down, though I wish it was better. And then realizing that it really, in a taste manner, is a knockoff of an existing sister drink within the parent company's profile, no, I'm not inclined to want to get it again. So desirability got a 2, which is not good. When you add all of those up, we total 13. And the most you can get is 25. The least you could get is 1. So we're almost in the middle. We might actually we're pretty much in the middle, minus half a point. So it is a quintessential so-so product. I wouldn't not recommend it, but I also wouldn't recommend it. So it's really one of those things where if you want to kill your curiosity as far as the brand and its limited time availability, sure, go for it. But you're really not missing out on anything. And if you happen to be a consumer of Fresca, or at least know what that is like, you're not missing anything because you've essentially already had it. Sprite Chill, lots of corporate speak can find out through consuming it that the PR release was really to hide the fact that it is not a variant of Sprite as much as it is a variant of Fresca. So please consume as you may. Again, I want to remind you that Flavor to Savor is really just the opinion of myself, your host, Rob Impact, and does not necessarily reflect what your opinion or those around you, their opinion may be. So please be aware of that. Everybody has the right and a choice to manufacture and produce what they want, and it's not going to hit everybody the same way. But Flavor to Savor provides this opportunity to give you some insight from one person's perspective and use that as either education or a foundation to approach this yourself. So Sprite Chill, it's a so-so, and I hope you've enjoyed this Flavor to Savor on Complex Context. We're now going to do a new segment that, again, this will be in rotation sometimes. You need to have that positivity really sunk in to approach your week and to really have a good feeling, a good template of what you want to build your vibes on. And that, simply put, is why we call this Positive Vibes.
Kick back, relax, let me set the tone. A positive vibe that you can call your own. Complex context, bringing happiness and rhyme, feel good news. We're gonna have a good time.
So I want to talk about really one positive vibe in depth, and then another one that's a little bit low-key, more personal. I've had discussions with people about how we have taken up so much land that wildlife and animals in general used to have more of a claim to. And it really is disheartening sometimes because you can't always reclaim or reestablish those means in which certain animals are used to land spread for survivability. This segment, Positive Vibes, and this particular story in general made me feel so good, and I hope it makes you feel good as well. Apparently, the quote-unquote largest wildlife crossing in the world is being constructed right now, and is being constructed in Los Angeles within the Santa Monica Mountains, which is really cool. So you have various wildlife in those mountains: cougars, bobcats, deer, lizards, coyotes, and mountain lions. And there's 8 lanes of traffic that go through these mountains, at least in certain points, right? And what it really has done is separate these masses, I guess, of land. It's really one mass of land, but with this highway just running right through it. So apparently it's been 8 years in the making. It's a 210-foot long crossing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you kind of take it for granted. It really is when you're talking about wildlife being able to get from one side of the mountains to the other. This is just so awesome. The first section of the crossing was just put into place, and that means that construction is just ongoing. It's moving forward. There's going to be, I think, 80 plus concrete girders, and each beam is like 130 or so tons. It's fantastic. So what this crossing is, it's going to go over all 8 lanes of traffic and connect one side of the mountainous region to the other side. Wildlife is going to be crossing potentially over the highway, which I think is great and takes away that divide of these major, I guess, again, 2 areas of land that technically is one. It's designed to keep animals safe. Hopefully it will reduce the traffic accidents that do occur. And there's been so much fundraising. It's been 3,000 private, philanthropic, and corporate institutions globally that have contributed to this. and there was a $25 million challenge grant that was awarded. It's just really, really cool. So to know that you're going to have all of these animals be able to move through this mountain region and not have the highway hinder their progress anymore, holy cow, this is fantastic. That really made me feel good. So kind of reestablishing this land, and according to the rendering, it seems as though they're going to try and make this crossing very land friendly in terms of having vegetation and just similar environments extended from the mountain sides up onto the crossing itself. It's really, really cool. Feel free to check out more information on that. It's within the Santa Monica Mountains. It's really just what we need to do and do more often in this country is let animals really have the proper spread of land that they need to travel to and from, and do it in a way that doesn't take away our ability to coexist and move around ourselves. So, man, that made me feel so good. That was a fantastic positive vibe that I'm just so happy to see. And second, I came across, or I should say really, a former coworker of mine came across me online and requested to be friends, quote unquote. The whole be friends thing, I think I would rather call it have an online connection. So this former coworker, who I enjoyed working with very much, requested to have an online connection, and I said, sure, why the heck not? And apparently, they have been hard at work. They lost 100 pounds over the past, I can't tell you how long. It looks like a few months, maybe half year, 3/4 of a year. I have no idea to the specific timeline, but I was super happy for them, very impressed. That takes a lot of dedication, a lot of determination, and to be that focused and that dedicated to achieving such a goal, I really have to tip my hat off to them. Congratulations. I don't want to put them on the spot, which is why I'm kind of keeping it low-key, but the observed progress that they made was really just something awesome. I enjoyed what they brought to the table in terms of being a work colleague in the past, and I enjoyed their personality. I thought they had a very good and very friendly personality that I would want to be around no matter where I'm at for work. So congratulations to you, 100 pounds. I don't know if you have any more left because they looked relatively at a point where they could stop. I don't know how much more there is for them to lose, but regardless, you might be on the maintenance mode plan now. And if that's the case, just keep up with it and enjoy it. Savor that moment of knowing that you've hit that goal and reflect on the journey that you took to get to that point, and just keep going and maintaining and having the next best chapter of your life feel so different in such a good way. So those are the positive vibes for this episode. I want to thank you for taking the time to check out Complex Context. If you have a subject matter that you would like to discuss, either with me or to bring up that you would like me to discuss to everybody out there, please don't hesitate. Complex Context Show at yahoo.com. On Twitter, at Complex Context 1. That's the number 1. And always check out our official homepage. Thanks to our distribution and hosting partner, Podbean, we're at complexcontext.podbean.com. Thanks as always. I appreciate it. Looking forward to talking with you again. Take care of yourself. Look after each other. Enjoy this wonderful life we are blessed with. Do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and you'll be doing all right. I'm Rob Impact, and I'll be back here with you in no time. Take care.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ed Media production.